Discover how a widower's heartwarming ride for a fleeing bride uncovers hidden danger from a milking mogul. Jack Thompson squinted up at the sun, sweat trickling down his brow as he hammered a loose shingle into place on the barn roof. The world around him buzzed with the sound of cicadas, the fields of golden corn stretching endlessly under the vast blue sky. It was one of those mornings that made you believe everything might be okay, if only for a moment. But then again, it had been a long time since anything felt truly okay. Not since losing Helen. His heart ached, not just from the loss but from the weight of raising their spirited daughter, Lily. At 17, she was full of life and dreams but carried the shadow of grief like a heavy cloak. Jack was doing his best, but each day felt like a battle against the memories that surrounded him. Suddenly, a figure burst into view on the dirt road winding toward their home. Jack's heart skipped a blur of white lace and desperation. It was Maria, a young bride in her wedding gown, panic etched across her face. She skidded to a halt at their door, breathless and wild, knocking urgently. "Please. I need help," she gasped. Jack's instincts kicked in. He opened the door, worry twisting in his gut as Maria rushed past him, her floral perfume mingling with the scent of hay and earth. In the chaos that followed, Jack learned that Maria had run away from a wedding that felt more like a prison than a celebration, trapped under the thumb of a manipulative businessman whose influence darkened their little town of Maple Grove. A tightness gripped Jack's chest. He knew better than anyone how the powerful could crush the dreams of the vulnerable. As the community buzzed with gossip about the runaway bride, Jack and Maria found themselves united by a common goal. They began formulating a plan to revive their town's failing economy and fight back against the elite, with Lily cheering them on. The Thompson farm became a gathering place, the trio mobilizing neighbors to discuss local farming, sustainable practices, and new entrepreneurship. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as kind hearts came together, sharing resources and dreams. Jack felt a flicker of hope. But it was a delicate flicker, threatened by whispers of danger. Jack noticed how Maria's laughter sometimes turned to sadness, her eyes reflecting a past that may not stay buried. Rumors began to surface about Maria's groom, a powerful figure with dangerous allies. Jack wrestled with an internal storm. Could he trust this fragile alliance? Was it wise to allow himself to care for Maria, with his daughter's safety and their community's stability on the line? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a storm brewing on the horizon, Jack stood staring out at that expansive Indiana sky. Each sunset hinted at change, but could they withstand the darkness that threatened them? Would their newfound bond survive the shadows closing in on Maple Grove? The wind seemed to whisper a challenge, and he couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change forever. Jack awoke the next morning feeling the weight of responsibility pressing heavily on his chest. He had given Maria shelter, but what would happen when her past came knocking? The first light of dawn crept through the curtains, illuminating the kitchen where Lily was already up, flipping pancakes with a carefree bounce. Her laughter was a melody he cherished, yet it felt tinged with a bittersweet reminder of what he had lost. "Dad, will you help me decorate the barn for the meeting today?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Jack nodded, masking his worry behind a smile. They had rallied the neighbors together for a community meeting, and it was their chance to finally take a stand against the forces threatening their little town. As they worked side by side, Jack felt a sense of normalcy returning. They strung colorful bunting and set up hay bales for seating. The barn transformed into a vibrant space, filled with hope and laughter. But as the sun set, casting long shadows across the fields, Jack couldn't ignore the creeping anxiety gnawing at his stomach. The meeting was due to start soon when a car roared down the dirt road, kicking up dust behind it. All heads turned as the sleek black sedan came to a sudden halt. Jack's heart raced as he recognized the insignia on the side, a symbol he had seen associated with Maria's groom. "Stay inside, Lily," he said, his voice sharp. She looked up, confusion clouding her expression, but there was no time for explanation. As the figure stepped out from the car, Jack felt a chill run down his spine. A tall man with slicked-back hair and an arrogance that oozed from his every pore emerged. He surveyed the surroundings like a hawk, and Jack felt his instincts scream a warning. "Is Maria here?" The man's voice cut through the evening air, smooth yet menacing. Jack stepped forward, grounding himself with resolve. "What do you want?" The man smirked, amusement flickering in his eyes. "Just a chat. Maria belongs to me, and it's time to bring her back." Jack's fists clenched, anger bubbling to the surface. She's not a possession. She made her choice. Suddenly, the barn doors creaked open, revealing a hesitant Maria. Her eyes widened at the sight of the man, and Jack saw the recognition dawn on her face, fear woven into the fabric of her being. She took a step back, torn between two worlds, each pulling her in opposite directions. "Let her be!" Jack shouted, heart racing. He could feel the tension in the air, the quiet panic swirling around them, threatening to erupt. Lily, peering from the shadows, whispered, "Dad, what's happening?" Jack turned to her, his heart aching. "Just stay close." As the man sauntered closer, Jack could see Maria's eyes glistening with unshed tears, and for the first time, he understood the depth of her struggle. She was more than just a runaway bride, she was a young woman caught in a web of power and manipulation. "Maria, you can't go back with him," Jack said, desperation creeping into his voice. "You have people here who care." But as the man's shadow lengthened and Maria hesitated, Jack wondered if their fight was in vain. He could feel the darkness encroaching, threatening to swallow the hope they had built, and then, from behind the man, a sinister voice chuckled, "Caring doesn't really matter when the law is on my side." Jack's heart raced as he stepped forward, ready to protect Maria at all costs. Whatever came next, he knew the stakes had risen and they were playing for keeps. Would they be able to confront the looming danger, or would fear shatter the fragile bond they had begun to form? The evening stillness was shattered, and Jack was about to find out just how steep the price would be for standing up against a milking mogul and the darkness that threatened them all. The air was thick with tension, each breath heavy with unspoken fears. Jack stood firm, rooted to the ground, feeling all eyes on him, neighbors peering from behind barn doors, Lily's wide gaze fixed on him, searching for reassurance, Maria, caught in a storm of emotions. The man was confident, a predator savoring his prey. "Like I said, just a chat," he reiterated, his voice dripping with entitlement. Jack could see the forced calm, the practiced charm of someone used to getting their way. Maria's face was pale, and Jack could see the internal battle raging within her. She wanted to walk away but was bound by chains he couldn't see. "Jack," she whispered, her voice trembling, maybe it's best if I go with him." Jack felt his heart leap into his throat. "No, Maria. You don't have to. This is your life. Your choice." But as certainty flickered in her eyes, the man stepped closer. "You don't want to mess with me, Jack. Trust me. I've got the law on my side. We've been looking for her, you know." A murmur of disbelief rippled through their small audience. Jack's chest tightened. The law? Was he serious? "Do you really think just because you can shove some papers around, it gives you ownership over her?" Jack shouted, his hands balling into fists. The man laughed. "Ownership? That's one way to put it. But I assure you, I have a contract that proves she's mine. You know how expensive lawyers can get? And the more I have to deal with nuisances like you, the more expensive it gets." "Not if you leave her alone," Jack retorted, his voice fierce, drawing strength from the crowd behind him. Lily stepped out from the shadows, confusion plastered across her young face. "Dad, who is he?" Jack shot her a look, urging her to go back inside, yet it was too late. She had already stepped into the fray. "Maria's my friend." A flicker of pride ignited in Jack's heart, seeing his daughter's courage shine through in the face of intimidation. "It's okay, sweetheart," he managed, trying to anchor himself while keeping his voice steady. "They think they can just come in and take away our friends? Take people away? Lily's defiance struck a chord. Jack felt a flicker of hope as the assembled neighbors began muttering in agreement. Exactly. One of them shouted, edging forward. We'll stand for Maria. But the man curled his lips into a sinister smile, unfazed. Is that right? A little band of rebels against a big shot like me? You'd be wise to know your place. Maria looked between Jack and the man, the turmoil visible on her face. I don't want to hurt anyone. I didn't mean to cause all this. Then don't go back, Jack said, his voice dropping, softening with emotion. This isn't just about you anymore. You have people here willing to fight for you. The night seemed to hold its breath. Jack could feel the air electric with possibilities as the community began to rally around them, showing unity. Their voices merged in a chorus of support, fueling his resolve. But just as momentum built, the man raised his hand, silencing them all with a chilling sense of control. His eyes glinted, and he leaned in. Make no mistake, I will not be dismissed. I'll work through the law, and you're only making things worse for her. The clock is ticking, and I assure you, I have all the time in the world. The dread coiled in Jack's stomach as he watched Maria's determination flicker. What if this truly was about more than just confrontation? What if the stakes were even higher? In that moment, he swore to himself he would uncover the truth, for Maria, for Lily, for their community. He wouldn't let their lives shatter under the weight of fear. Just as he steeled himself to respond, a voice echoed from the crowd, Jack, what do we do now? Jack met Maria's gaze, seeing her plea for strength. They shared a moment, a silent promise that this battle was far from over. But in that fragile silence, Jack's mind raced. He needed a plan. They had to outsmart the man before the darkness closed in. Would he find a way to protect Maria and their town, or was the threat just beginning to unfold? Jack took a deep breath, his eyes scanning the crowd. They were gathered there, a mix of friends and neighbors, faces drawn with worry and confusion. What had started as a peaceful evening had turned into a threatening showdown. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on his shoulders, heavy like the humid air around them. Listen to me. He called out, his voice steadying with urgency. We can't let fear dictate our choices. This is about Maria's freedom, her right to choose who she wants in her life. We stand as one, or we fall apart. Around him, the tension shifted. More people stepped forward, their expressions hardened with determination. We believe in you, Jack. Someone shouted from the back, and the words echoed, a rallying cry that surged through the crowd. The man narrowed his eyes, clearly unnerved by the unity forming. You think your little village can back her? You're in over your heads. I suggest you stay quiet, it's for your own good, he warned. Jack took a step forward, fueled by the adrenaline coursing through him. You think we're scared of you? You're just a bully hiding behind a contract and a threat. You don't know this town or what we're made of. We will fight for Maria. Maria's face shifted slightly as if realizing something powerful, something hidden deep within herself. Jack didn't miss it. The way she straightened and stood just a bit taller. Was she beginning to believe in her own strength? As the crowd murmured their agreement, the man's confidence wavered. Perhaps he hadn't expected the community to rally behind Maria. In that moment, he looked vulnerable, a hint of fear betraying his bravado. But just as quickly, he masked it with arrogance. It doesn't matter, he snapped, his voice suddenly sharp. The law is on my side. I'll make sure Maria pays for this little rebellion. Don't think I want to use it against you all. Jack clenched his jaw. He could hear the murmurs of concern, but deep down, he felt a fire rising in him. Fear could only linger if they let it take control. No one is going to pay for anything, he asserted, each word deliberate. We will expose your lies. We will uncover what you're hiding. Maria has a voice, and we will make sure it's heard. The man took a step back, sensing the shift. I'll give you one last chance, Maria, he said, shifting his focus back to her, almost pleading. You could come with me, and all of this will be just a bad memory. No one has to get hurt. For a split second, despair flickered in Maria's eyes. But then, the defiance Jack had witnessed earlier re-emerged. No. I'm not going anywhere with you. This is my life. I choose my own path. The crowd erupted again, voices overlapping in a wave of support. Jack felt a rush of pride for her bravery. This was bigger now, not just about one woman, but about asserting their place against a man who thought he could intimidate them. But the man's smile returned, twisted and threatening. You're all asking for trouble. This isn't over. I have the means to make your lives difficult. With that, he turned sharply on his heels, setting off into the darkness. Jack watched him go, heart pounding. What just happened? He wondered. Their small victory felt fragile, but Maria's courage had ignited something in him, a determination to fight back. But how? With the crowd still buzzing around him, he turned to Maria. We need a plan. We can't just let him walk away like this. She nodded, her expression resolute. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm ready to fight. As they stood together, a newfound alliance formed between them and their community, a bond that felt unshakable. Yet Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Something more ominous lurked in the background, and he had a sinking suspicion that it was coming. We'll meet tomorrow to discuss our next steps, he declared to the crowd. We need to be prepared. This fight might be bigger than we imagined. As they began to disperse, Jack caught a glimpse of Lily. She was watching him, eyes wide with both pride and worry. He would have to explain everything. Soon. They had to be on guard, and time was not on their side. Would they uncover the truth in time to save Maria? Or had they just awoken a beast that was determined to unleash chaos on their lives? Night settled over the town, a shroud of darkness wrapped around homes and hearts alike. Jack lingered, the adrenaline from the confrontation still thrumming in his veins. He stared at the empty street where the man had vanished like a wisp of smoke. The air was thick with tension, almost palpable. What do we do now? Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. There was a worried crease in her brow, a reflection of the collective anxiety that hung heavy around them. Jack turned to face her, wishing he had a ready answer. We need to think strategically, he finally said. What does he want? Why is he targeting Maria? I don't know, she replied, eyes darting around as if fearful the man might return. But he seemed to have power over the law. What if he uses it against her? Jack's heart raced. The reality of their situation sunk deeper. We can't back down. Maria is fighting for her life, her future. Together, we can protect her. Lily sighed, her shoulders relaxing slightly. I trust you, Jack. We all do, she admitted, her voice steadier now. Thank you, he replied, a swell of gratitude washing over him. This village was his home, and though it had its flaws, it was filled with people ready to stand together. Let us gather everyone again. I'll make a plan. The next day, the sun rose with a glimmer of hope, yet beneath it lay lingering shadows. As the villagers trickled into the community center for the meeting, Jack felt the weight of their expectation. He saw familiar faces, neighbors, friends, even some who had been too timid to speak the night before. They were there for Maria, and he had to make this count. I appreciate you all being here, he began, voice steady yet urgent. Last night, we faced a threat together. But we cannot let fear guide our actions. Instead, we must strategize. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. He could sense the fear but also the courage. Jack pressed on. Maria deserves to feel safe in her own home. We need to gather information, find out everything we can about the man who confronted us. Maria stepped forward, her presence commanding and fierce. I can reach out to some friends who might know more about him. He has connections that we don't understand yet, she said, determination bright in her voice. Jack admired her bravery. Great idea. Jack nodded, inspired. Let us compile all the information we can gather about him. It's not just about Maria anymore, it's about all of us, our safety, our rights. If we can uncover what he is hiding, we can turn the tables. A woman in the crowd raised her hand timidly. What if he retaliates? What if we put ourselves in danger? Jack met her gaze, heart pounding. Sometimes we have to take risks for those we love. We can't let him think he can intimidate us into submission. Together, we are stronger. And we'll find a way to protect each other. The group nodded, the fire of unity igniting within them. They broke into smaller teams, discussing leads, sharing ideas. Jack felt a sense of belonging as their voices filled the room with purpose. As the meeting concluded, Jack stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. The sky was painted in soft hues, but the weight of the impending storm still loomed. He spotted Maria standing apart from the crowd and walked over to her. Thank you for stepping up, he said genuinely, his heart swelling with admiration. You're one of the strongest people I know. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice quivering slightly. But I can't show that fear. Not now. We're fighting for my life. Before Jack could respond, the sound of a car engine roared in the distance. Instinctively, they both turned toward the noise, hearts racing. A sleek black car rolled to a stop a few feet away. Jack's gut tightened as he recognized it. The man from the night before climbed out, a sinister grin plastered across his face. Did you miss me? He called out, voice dripping with mockery. I thought we were just getting started. Jack clenched his fists, bracing for what was to come. The battle for Maria had just turned more dangerous, but this was a fight he intended to win. He wouldn't let Maria or anyone else face this danger alone. The man moved toward them, a predator with a cunning smile. What was his next move? Jack's mind raced as he prepared to protect everything he held dear. Would the community's resolve withstand this new threat, or was this their breaking point? The man stepped closer, his confidence radiating like a dark cloud. Jack felt the heat of anger coursing through him. He wanted to shout, to confront him, but he knew they needed to be strategic. What do you want? He called out, trying to keep his voice steady. Don't play coy with me, kid, the man replied, a smirk creeping onto his lips. I'm just here to remind everyone who really holds the power in this town. He gestured around the group of villagers who had gathered, watching nervously from a distance. You're in over your heads. Maria took a step forward, her courage igniting. You don't scare us. We know what you're trying to do. We're not going to let you intimidate us into silence. Her voice rang out strong and clear, breaking through the air heavy with tension. Is that so? The man feigned surprise, raising his eyebrows. You really think standing together will save you? He chuckled darkly, a sound that sent chills down Jack's spine. You should know that I can make your lives very uncomfortable. Very quickly. Touch her and you'll regret it, Jack warned, his voice hoarse with emotion. He stepped closer to Maria, protective instincts kicking in. The crowd shifted, an electric mix of fear and defiance buzzing through them. Jack could feel the weight of their gazes, and he knew he had to stand firm. The man's expression turned cold. Regret? I assure you, that won't be the only thing you feel. I don't need to lift a finger to ruin your little crusade. Just wait and see. With that, he turned sharply and headed back to his car, leaving an echo of uncertainty behind him. As the car roared to life, Jack exchanged worried glances with Maria and Lily. He could see fear reflected in their eyes, but this fear was different. It was fuel. A realization that made them all stronger. Lily's voice trembled as she caught his arm. We have to act fast. What if he really can take everything away? Jack took a breath, gathering his thoughts. We will. We'll get ahead of him. Maria's friends, the information we can gather, everything, it's all crucial now. Maria nodded, determination glazing her features. Let us move quickly. I won't let this man ruin my life or the lives of the people I love. We need to fight. As they stood together beneath the waning sunlight, the community around them began to rally. They dispersed with newfound urgency, seeds of courage planted in their hearts. Jack felt a surge of hope. They were not just fighting for Maria, they were fighting for each other. He watched as the villagers began to form teams, their quiet whisperings turning into determined plans. Yet, deep in his gut, a storm brewed. The man was dangerous, too dangerous. Jack clenched his fists, vowing not to let fear take root. The following days, they worked tirelessly, sharing intel, checking backgrounds, even reaching out to old records. Jack spent nights poring over documents, hoping to uncover something, anything that would give them leverage against the man. One evening, as Jack sat alone in the community center, he stumbled across a name, one that looked eerily familiar. His heart raced as realization dawned. It was a connection he hadn't anticipated, a truth that could change everything for Maria and the town. Before he could comprehend the implications, a sudden crash echoed from the front of the building, pulling him from his thoughts. Jack jumped to his feet, adrenaline pumping. Without knowing why, he sensed this moment would define their fight. What had he uncovered? What danger might be approaching now that the man was closing in? With a heavy heart, he reached for the door, knowing full well that what lay beyond could either unravel everything or lead to a turning point they desperately needed. What awaited him would reveal how deep the threat truly ran and whether their collective strength could withstand the looming chaos. Jack swung the door open, the sound of splintering wood still ringing in his ears. As he stepped outside, the night air hit him hard, a chilly contrast to the warmth of the community center. His heart raced in panic, fear gripping him as his eyes darted around for the source of the noise. The front porch was empty, but a group of villagers quickly gathered around an overturned trash bin, rattled and mumbling among themselves. Shadows flickered under the nearby streetlight as Maria and Lily emerged from the building, worry etched across their faces. "What happened?" Maria asked, breathless from running. Jack shook his head, taking in the scene. It was just a trash bin, yet the uncertainty surrounding it felt larger than life. "Didn't you hear it? Someone crashed something." Lily knelt to examine the mess, her brow furrowing in concentration. "Can you believe it? This feels intentional." There was a heaviness in the air, a sense that they had crossed an invisible line. The man who threatened them was not just a loud voice, he was a cancer in their community, and his presence could unleash chaos at any moment. "We need to keep looking for answers," Jack said, the urgency in his tone igniting something within. He took a deep breath, determined not to let fear take hold of him. If he knows we're digging, he'll strike back harder. They spent the next hours ransacking the building for anything useful, their minds racing with possibilities. Jack's eyes were still drawn to that name he found earlier. What if it led them deeper into this web of deceit? If the man had connections that went beyond what they thought possible, how could they stand a chance? Maria held a stack of papers in her arms, her eyes scanning each one. "Jack, look at this." She thrust a document toward him. "Isn't this the property registry?" "Yes." His heart thumped loudly in his chest. The connections were becoming clearer. If we can prove that he has illegal ties to the land, we might have something concrete to fight back with. Tension mounted as they searched deeper, but each paper seemed to ratchet up wild possibilities in Jack's mind. The stakes felt staggering, but so was their resolve. The three of them formed a united front, fueled by shared purpose. They stepped outside again, gathered around a flickering light. The town sprawled out like a maze beneath the night sky. Every creak and whisper in the shadows heightened their sense of vulnerability. A sudden scuttling in the bushes sent them into a panic. Jack's heart raced again. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, eyes wide. Before anyone could say more, they flinched at the sound of a low growl. From the corner of the street, a dark figure emerged, but it wasn't the man from before. It was a stray dog, its eyes glinting in the faint light, but to Jack, it felt like a sign. "Maybe we're not as alone as we think," he said, kneeling down to the animal. The dog approached cautiously but eventually leaned into him, sensing his uneasy heart. "Even in shadows, we can find allies," Maria replied softly. "Let us remember that." Just then, the air shifted dramatically. Jack felt a chill run down his spine as a car drove slowly past, headlights casting an eerie glow on their worried faces. Behind the wheel, Jack recognized the driver. Panic surged through him. Could it be? What if he's onto us already? Lily gasped, clutching Jack's arm. "Then we need to hurry," Jack said, urgency drowning out his fear. "We'll uncover the truth, no matter what." As they turned back toward the building, the weight of their mission pressed heavier than ever. Little did they know, the coming hours would challenge everything they believed about loyalty, courage, and the shadows lurking in the corners of their small town. Would they unearth the truth before it was too late? Or would the man's ominous presence shatter the fragile hope they had clung to? Jack's heart raced as they hurried back into the community center. The warmth from inside felt like a refuge, but the tension hung thick in the air. Each creak of the floorboards under their hurried footsteps sounded like thunder in the stillness. "Okay, what do we do?" Maria asked, glancing at Jack. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying her fear. "Let us go through the papers again," he replied, trying to keep his own worry in check. "We need to find anything that'll help us connect the dots." Lily peered over a stack of documents, her brow furrowed in concentration. If he's involved in anything shady with the land, he must have left a trail. We just need to follow it. As they searched frantically, Jack's eyes drifted to the window. The streetlight outside flickered ominously. He felt that creeping sense of dread again, a tightening knot in his stomach. Was the man watching them? Even from afar, suddenly, a loud crash echoed from outside, and they all froze. Jack's heart skipped as he turned toward the sound. "What now?" he muttered, dread pooling in his gut. "I'll go check," he said, steeling himself. He pushed the door open again, stepping into the cold night. The chill wrapped around him like an icy hand. Outside, the flickering light cast long shadows, and the trash bin lay nearby, still overturned. He instinctively glanced down the street, expecting to see the figure again, but all was still. "It's just the wind," he whispered to himself, forcing his breath to steady. He looked back at the building, where Lily and Maria peered through the door, their faces masks of worry. "Is it over?" Lily shouted, voice quivering. "I don't see anything," Jack replied, forcing a smile, though he felt anything but brave. He didn't want to drag them back into the shadow of fear. Maybe it was just something falling. Just then, the moment shattered with a car engine revving nearby. Jack spun on his heels, eyes narrowing at a vehicle that crept slowly down the street. The headlights hit him and he squinted, dread washing over him. "No, it can't be." "Jack." Maria called again, stepping closer. He waved her back. "Get inside now." They rushed back in, and Jack slammed the door behind him. Regaining a moment's composure, he glanced through the blinds, breath held in his chest. The car paused directly across the street. "Who is it?" Lily whispered, wide-eyed, practically hovering behind him. "I don't know, but I think it's him." Through the slatted view, the driver leaned against the car, silhouetted by the glow of his vehicle. Jack could barely make out the contours of a familiar face, a cruel smile lifting the man's lips. "We've got to leave," he said urgently, turning to his friends. "We can't stay here." "He knows." "Where do we go?" Maria asked, anxiety bubbling over. Jack thought for a moment, then looked at the papers spread across the table. "The old warehouse on the edge of town. It's abandoned but might give us a chance to think." "Are you serious?" Lily replied. "What if he tracks us there?" "We'll be more hidden there," Jack insisted, panic rising in pitch. "Every minute we stay puts us closer to danger." Just as he finished, the headlights blinked off, plunging them into darkness. The ominous sound of a door slamming faded into the distance, and Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Let us move," he said, determination igniting in his voice. "Now." As they prepared to leave the safety of the center, uncertainty gripped their hearts. Outside, the shadows loomed larger than life, and every step echoed with the pulse of impending danger. What awaited them in the cold grip of night? Would the path they took lead to salvation or deeper into the scene of chaos? The door creaked open, and Jack led the way into the night, a tight knot of anxiety twisting in his gut. He glanced back at Maria and Lily, their faces pale and the dim light spilling out from the community center. They swallowed their fears, but the resolve in their eyes was unmistakable. "Stay close," Jack said, scanning the dark street. The familiar sounds of their small town felt foreign, distorted by the tension. Every rustle of leaves seemed amplified, every distant noise an echo of their fears. As they made their way to the edge of town, the silhouette of the old warehouse emerged. Its broken windows looked like dark eyes watching them, and the sagging roof seemed to sag further under the weight of secrets. Jack hesitated, but the urgency surged through him. "We can't turn back now," he whispered more to himself than to the others. The trio stepped inside, the musty air enveloping them like an old blanket. Dust motes danced in the faint light that filtered through the cracks. Jack led them deeper into the shadows, pushing down the flutter of uncertainty. They moved cautiously, settling into a corner where they could observe the entryway. "Do you really think he'll follow us here?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "He has to. We're the only ones who know what he's up to," Jack replied. He felt a surge of protectiveness toward his friends. "But let us use that to our advantage. We'll wait and see what he does." The weight of their predicament settled heavily in the room. Maria shivered, hugging herself, and Jack's heart ached at the sight. He reached out, resting a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll figure this out. We have each other." As they regrouped, they began to sift through the papers again in low tones, sharing thoughts and piecing together clues of the man's shady dealings. A faint scratching sound interrupted their focus, drawing all eyes toward the heavy warehouse door. "Did you hear that?" Maria asked, eyes wide. "I did," Jack whispered back, his heart racing again. They shared a loaded glance, a silent question passing between them. What if it was him? They all held their breath, every fiber of their being straining to listen. The scratching turned into a soft thud, a rhythm that seemed to echo Jack's quickening heartbeat. "Should we check?" Lily asked, her voice trembling slightly. "If it's him, we can't give him the advantage," Jack urged. "But we can't let our guard down either. We need a plan." "Like what?" Maria challenged, her eyes darting to the door. "Like keeping the lights off and making sure to stay silent," Jack suggested. "Let us make sure we know where we are in the dark and how to defend ourselves if it comes to that." Lily nodded, her fear transforming into determination. "I'll keep watch near the door." As Lily settled into a watchful stance, Jack and Maria returned to their search. Their fingers stumbled over the papers, a frantic chaos of documents, but then something caught Jack's eye. A name one they hadn't noticed before. It was mention of an unexpected partnership involving the man and a real estate firm infamous for underhanded tactics. "Wait, look at this," he said, his voice breaking the tension. "This could be it." Maria took a step closer, her brow furrowing in concentration as she scanned the paper. "So he really is involved with them, but what does that mean for us?" "I don't know yet," Jack replied, feeling the weight of uncertainty pressing down again. "But we need to figure this out fast before he comes back." Just then, the door creaked open wider, and the shadows thickened. Jack held his breath, every instinct screaming for action. "Jack!" Lily's whisper echoed in the dark. "Everyone stay quiet," he breathed, the moment stretched painfully, the door groaning, revealing a figure silhouetted against the streetlight outside. "Is that?" Maria gasped, eyes wide with fear. "Get ready," Jack replied, tension flooding through him. "Whatever happens next, we stand together." But would they find strength in unity, or would the darkness swallow them whole? The shadows danced menacingly just outside the warehouse door, and Jack felt his heart pound like a drum. The figure stepped into the dim light, and it was not the man they feared. Jack let out a relieved breath, recognizing their neighbor, Tom, who had come searching for them. "Jack! Thank goodness. We've been worried sick," Tom exclaimed, his eyes darting to the group huddled together in the corner. "People saw the car outside your place. We thought you might be in trouble." "We are," Jack said, urgency flooding back into him. "There's a man after Maria. He's powerful, and he's not going away until he gets what he wants." Tom's expression turned serious as he stepped further inside, blocking the door behind him to shield them from prying eyes. What can I do? Jack realized there was strength in numbers. We need to gather more people. We need allies to stand with us. Tom nodded. I can spread the word. Tell everyone that Maria needs protection. We can't let that man intimidate us into silence. As Tom rushed off, Jack turned back to Maria and Lily, who both looked younger under the weight of uncertainty. We're not done fighting. This is about your choices, Maria. We won't let intimidation win. Maria smiled faintly, her spirit seemingly rekindling in the warmth of support. Thank you. I'm scared, but I'm ready to stand with you. Fear can be a motivator or a hindrance, Jack said. Let us use it to fuel our next move. If fear drove them to action, the darkness could become a source of strength, a chance to unravel the web of power the man had spun around them. Within hours, neighbors began trickling in, the hum of whispered conversations filling the warehouse. They came with tired eyes, yet each face held resolve. Jack felt hope swell in his chest as he glanced at his daughter and Maria, who now stood amidst their community, stronger together. Let us start brainstorming, Jack called, gathering everyone's attention. What do we know about this man? What connections can we uncover? Lily piped up, her voice steady. He cares about his reputation. If we expose something damaging, we might have leverage. The chatter turned electric, ideas bounced around like pinballs. Each suggestion fueled the collective fire, the sense of community enveloped them, warding off individual fears. Hours passed, and they came closer to connecting the dots. As Jack sifted through old documents with Maria, he found a connection that revealed the milking mogul had ties to the local government. He's not just a businessman, he's like a spider in a web, Jack said, his voice trembling with realization. He's got everyone in his pocket. This could be our chance. If we go public with this information, it can't just slide under the rug. Maria's face glowed with excitement, their eyes met, a silent understanding passed between them. This was the moment they had been seeking, a chance to reclaim Maria's life and take a stand for their town. Just as they developed their plan, the door of the warehouse flew open, and the man they had dreaded stepped inside. Every voice fell silent. His face twisted with that familiar smirk, arrogance dripped from him like venom. Well, look who's all gathered up for a bit of a rally, he taunted, stepping further into the room. The bravado was palpable, but Jack sensed an undercurrent of uncertainty. Did you think your little village could take me on? Jack stepped forward, using fear as fuel. We're not afraid of you. You think you own this town, but we know the truth now. Ah, the truth, he scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. Truth is subjective when power is involved. Maria took a bold step forward. You might threaten us, but we're united. We will not be silenced. The man's brow furrowed, anger flickering in his eyes. You'd best tread carefully. I have the law on my side, remember? But Jack stood firm. Enough of your threats. Your reign is over. You may have bluster, but what you don't have is the love and support of this community. The crowd behind him erupted with fervor, voices rising up like an unbreakable wall of determination. They began chanting Maria's name, a mantra that filled the cold warehouse with warmth and fierce defiance. Listen. Jack called out, urgency driving his voice. We are not just fighting for Maria. We are fighting for every person in Maple Grove. We deserve a home free from fear. The man's bravado cracked. For the first time, it appeared uncertainty washed over him. This is insane, he muttered, glancing around at the resolute faces encircling him. The rhythm of belief surged through the crowd, and Jack felt invigorated. We will expose you. The truth is coming out. Your threats can't intimidate us anymore. With each word, fear loosened its grip, and hope took flight. Suddenly, a siren echoed through the night, growing louder. The man turned pale, recognition dawning. No, you couldn't. I did, Jack said, adrenaline thrumming through him. I called the authorities. The moment you showed up tonight, I knew it was time to expose you. Panic flickered across the man's face as deputies poured into the warehouse, illuminating the space with their flashlights and the hope they carried. "Is there a problem here?" one officer asked, eyeing the crowd and the man at the center. "In fact, yes," Jack replied, voice steady. "This man has been harassing our community and has shady dealings that endanger us all." The weight shifted instantly. The crowd erupted in support, voices ringing out with urgency, and the history of fear and manipulation began to unravel. Jack felt a sense of relief fill the air, woven tight around him and Maria. They had transformed their fears into a strength they had never known. As the man was pulled from the warehouse, his threats slowly faded into the night, giving way to a peace that nestled over Maple Grove. Jack turned to Lily and Maria, tears glistening in their eyes. "We did it." "Yes," Maria whispered, her heart now free. "I finally feel free." The sun began to rise, chasing away the shadows, while the community stood together in triumph. Each face told the story of battle and triumph, of standing firm and united. Jack wrapped his arms around his daughter and Maria, heart swelling with pride. They had faced darkness together and emerged stronger, bonded by shared hopes for tomorrow. Maple Grove would heal, and perhaps even shine brighter. They had won back their hope, their lives, and that was more powerful than anyone could ever control. This is the moment to ensure your voice is heard. You need to subscribe now to never miss stories of transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, boost this community, and keep us thriving. Don't wait not even one more second to share this journey with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. They deserve to feel this hope, too. Join us, because together, we are unstoppable.